Hi everybody. I am Sheree Atcheson, and I'm super excited to talk to you today. I've been such a big supporter of Bring It On for years now. I remember one of the first events I ever spoke at was actually a Bring It On event when I was a software engineer about 7 years ago. But I really wanted to start, I guess, firstly with a bit about my background and actually what I've done in the industry, and what you can do as well, because I think that's really important. You're the main focus here, after all. So like Emer mentioned, I'm from Coal Island, for my sins, and I went to primary school in Clonot at St John's Kings Island. Maybe some of you have went there too. It's a great school. Um, and I was raised in Coal Island my entire life. I was adopted when I was 3 weeks old from Sri Lanka by an Irish family, so I've had all of the benefits of actually being raised in Ireland and being able to go to school, and go to university and everything else. And maybe like some of you, I also had a really big interest in technology right from when I was really, really young. I think that I grew up in the 90s, so I was born in 1991, and I just turned 30. And when I was in the 90s, sort of there was that curve of more gaming consoles, people starting to use technology, the really noisy modems that none of you will ever have heard of, cassette tapes that you had to turn with a pen in them. But things were changing then because we were starting to really depend on technology. We started to really, really need technology to do all of the things that you do every single day now with the click of your hand. And because of that, I was always interested in making things. So I did GCSE ICT, and I hated it because ultimately what I was doing was I was using programs. I wasn't making them. And I never understood, when I click this button, why does this move? Why can I do this actually? What's happening in the background? So I did A-level computing, and at that stage back then that wasn't offered in very many schools, and I had a fantastic teacher called Mr. Gribben, who's now actually at a school in Ballygolly, that my husband went to. It's a small world. And he had such a passion for computing. He had such a passion for how do computers work and passing that on, and it was infectious. And so I became really, really interested in creating the things that we all use. And so I did computer science at university. It was hard, I will not lie. It's not easy, but it's incredibly interesting when you see and you understand, how do these things work? What is this doing? What does this 1 and 0 mean? And how you can create things that actually affect millions of people. And so with that passion, I became a software engineer in the industry. My first job was as a placement software engineer, and then an engineer at a company called Kainos, back home. Excuse me. And that was when Kainos was really, really small as well. I know they're much bigger now. And I was working on projects that affected millions of people's lives, and that's incredibly exciting. Also very nerve-wracking for sure. But one of the things that I'm super proud of that I did work on when I was there was the online register to vote. So when you register to vote online, I was a part of the team that made that. And that's every day. Like, I registered to vote just yesterday because I've moved house, and even then I was like, I helped make this. That's so cool. That's so exciting. It's changing people's lives because it makes things easier for people. And that's what this is about. Technology should be about how we make things better for people, how we do exciting things. And I'm sure that's what you're all thinking about as well, as, what are you going to do and how are you going to do it? And the journey into technology has been incredibly interesting. I know people on this call and all the different schools and teachers, some of you may be in all different positions and all different backgrounds. Me personally, I grew up on free school meals. Things were not always easy, but I was still able to do this. I'm still able to, write a book and have it published at 30. I'm still able to have an awards cabinet to the right of me at 30 years old. And that means you can do those kinds of things too. You can push through. And I became a software engineer, and then I moved into business analysis, which is actually, I describe it as the middle person between the coders and the software engineers and the people that you're creating the software for, which means that you're really, I guess, the translator, helping people understand both sides of the coin. And that really worked for me because I really like being face to face with people. And this is the really important thing about technology. There are countless roles, okay? We may be talking about software engineering, and then we talk about development, and then we talk about testing the stuff that's made, the designing of it, the rolling it out, finding out actually what do you need to create, as well as a huge part of technology. So never worry if you're not super, super technical, because I will tell you now, I was not either. You may hear a lot that you need to be really good at maths to do this. You don't. I just scraped a C in my GCSE maths. And I was still a pretty good software engineer, I think. Maybe I'm biased on that front. And as Emer mentioned, I now am a global diversity and inclusion executive. And in normal people terms, and not in fluffy business language, what that means is my job is making sure that all of the people that create the solutions, the technology, and everything else in between are able to do so in a way that works for them, that everybody is allowed and able to do that in a way that helps them thrive and be successful and be proud of what they do, because the environment and the company that they're doing that in supports them. And I love this work. So when I became a software engineer, there wasn't very many women in the industry, and there still isn't. And that, I guess, for me was, I remember being, I think I was 21 when I graduated, thinking, oh, I just want to fix this. I want to do something. I didn't know what the something was. I didn't think I was going to be listened to as a fresh graduate with a big mouth, but I was. And so that's where Women Who Code came in. So Women Who Code is now the world's largest nonprofit globally dedicated to women in technology, where we have over 250,000 global members. We give over $1 million worth of scholarships per year to women in tech. And I led our UK expansion. So starting in Belfast, jumping over to London, then to Bristol, then also did expansion in Dublin and in Edinburgh, and then in different parts across EMEA in Europe and the Middle East. And I now sit as a board member on that organization, helping them with their strategic long-term vision. What does that nonprofit look like in 5 years, 10 years, and so on. And that's what's exciting here. So when you're in technology, excuse me, you're not just in one box. And I really want you to remember that there are so many different avenues for you to take. Like, I went to university, but the apprenticeship schemes that exist now are phenomenal. I remember when I was at Kainos and I was doing a lot of work leading their code camp, and the way that we were able to reach people, the way apprenticeship, I've really struggled with that word. I don't know why. But the way those schemes, let's use schemes, are able to reach people is a whole other level. And as you just heard before, the things that are being covered are what the industry wants. The industry needs more developers. There is a talent shortage coming, and it's coming really, really quickly. Now, it'd be quite nice if we filled that with a lot of people like you, and you were able to have a really, really impactful job that pays really well. I always think people dodge around the money question too much. Money is important. You deserve to get paid what you want to get paid because you've earned it. And the tech industry is incredibly well paid. And especially when we're in a period of uncertainty, the tech industry is one of the most stable industries, because every month we move forward, every year we move forward, technology becomes more and more ingrained into what we do. You buy your shopping, how you watch TV, how you play games online, how you do anything really. And that's why you're incredibly important. The perspectives that you bring are very much needed. People from all different areas, all different backgrounds are needed to make sure that actually the technologies and the solutions that you will make do work for all different people, because that's something the tech industry really, really needs to focus on. And I know it maybe feels like sometimes people feel like it's an anomaly to be from somewhere like Coal Island and do this and be, a world leader, but why not? Why not? I know I write for Forbes, which is one of the world's leading business publications. I signed a book deal at the start of last year and wrote a book throughout the pandemic. I don't recommend that though. Like I've been in, I've been on the BBC. I've been on everything and anything really, Marie Claire magazine and everything. But the most impressive thing that I have been in has been the Tyrone Herald. So I mean, I think I think that wins. I haven't made it into the Democrat yet, which is unfortunate. But maybe they're not as impressed. But I think that's one of the things that is always really important to me, is actually people underestimate people from back home so much. And do not let anybody underestimate you. Do not let someone say to you, well, you can't do that. You should do this instead. Or, why would you want to do that anyway? Wouldn't you want to do this when everybody else is doing that? Don't listen to it. Do what you want to do. I know that was one of the things my dad was super, I guess, one of the lessons he left me was always, who cares what everybody else is doing? If you want to do that, go and do it. I was the first Atcheson in my entire, my own family and my extended family to go to university. The first one to do anything at this level. You can be the first too. So, I mean, why not? What have you got to lose? And I think technology is such a great way to try this. But I would love to hear your questions. If you have any questions, let's do that, because I talk too much as well.
Thank you so much, Sheree. It's so inspirational to hear you, and I think it's true. What you're saying. Why not? Why not you? Why not us? Why not all the people watching? Yeah. Anyone could do it, and you are such an inspiration. And I wanted to ask, you said there about, there might be students watching thinking, oh, I'm going to this IT thing today, but I'm not good at IT. IT is not for me. Well, I would probably argue that probably everyone the age that they're at the minute who's watching this is inherently good at IT. But you hated GCSE IT. You're saying, you weren't the best at maths. Yeah. Would you kind of ask people to, you're saying about don't let anyone tell you, but do we need to have a little bit more confidence in ourselves and, maybe give it a second chance? Because I'm thinking of you hating it. But look at you now, like it's just incredible. So do you kind of have a message like that for people?
Yeah, absolutely. I think people have a view that IT and engineering is one very static box that stays the same forever, and that there's only one way to do it. And there isn't only one way to do it. There are people doing this in all different types of ways, people that are artistic and creative, people that really like structure actually, and people who like the opposite. There's all these different ways to do that. And what I would say is that if you enjoy, being on your phone, I think you probably do. If you enjoy playing, games online or playing games and Xbox games and all those things, that's made me sound really old, like as if I don't know what an Xbox is. But if you enjoy anything like that, remember that technology has made that happen. And to make that happen, someone like you has had to make it. Yeah. So it isn't just about you sitting, people make the assumption that it's sitting at your desk with your head down for 7-8 hours working on coding with a black screen that has numbers on it every day. That's not what it's like. It's about working in a team. It's about meeting new people. It's about the collaboration. And I think that's one of the most powerful things in technology, is because it's about bringing all different people together to make one solution. So even if you feel like at the start, oh, that sounds kind of boring, I don't like it, push back on that, just a wee touch. Have a think about different people. Have a Google, have a search for, inspirational people in tech, because there are so many people that have done really, really cool things. So definitely don't make the assumption that you won't like tech or technology if you're not good at maths and stuff like that. The two things are not the same by any stretch of the imagination.
Totally. And Sheree, like, this is not an common story. I mean, I sang a song at the start about my sister, who I call a computer guru, but she kind of she didn't realise that IT was her niche. She, had to repeat her A level. She had to take a year out before going to university because she applied for other topics. And then someone said to her, "What about IT?" And suddenly this was the thing that she was good at. And it had never occurred to her, and now she's an incredible software engineer. So this is not uncommon. So this could be, obviously Sheree's talking to us and is so incredible, but this could be you. This is the everyday person as well. I'm thinking, because you're born the same year as me, and you said about the Xbox there, you might be slightly more Sega Mega Drive than this next question, but we had a question with a few upvotes there asking if are you a fan of Fortnite?
Oh my God. I think I am too, I don't know, I don't think I'm too old. I think I'm too boring for Fortnite. I'm not, but I do like I see people doing the dances and stuff. And when you say the dances, that makes you sound ancient. I'm not. But yeah, I like how it's bringing people together. But no, I've actually not played it. I have seen I think he's my 12-year-old cousin plays it. But it's not one for me yet. But that's a yet. Might be.
See, you don't have to be a gamer to be into IT.
No.
And just before you go, Sheree, I've got one more question for you. You've had this. I can't really believe you're 30. You've had such an incredible, packed full career. What's been the major highlight for you?
I think for me, the major highlight has been I've done things that no one else has ever done. So last year I was Queen's University's Graduate of the Year, and in the whole 30-something years that those awards have existed, no women of colour have ever won them. 0. So I was the first one to win it. And for me, that's something that I am super proud of, because one, I love being from back home. I love being Irish. It's an incredible part of me. Because my parents were Irish and adopted me and brought me home. And for me, when I'm able to do things that link back to back home and have that bigger picture piece, it's something that I always remember, and it really, really sits with me. And the work that I have done has impacted, thousands and thousands of people. Even just the networks I launched in the UK now have over 12,000 members. But it's been much bigger than that. And it's sometimes when I sit back and when I was writing my book, and I talk about it a lot in that, it's like, how did I do that? I don't know how I did it, but I did it. And I think that's one of those moments where it's like, I'm so glad I didn't stop when people were telling me, just you sit down and be quiet. Instead, I got a bigger mouth and went on even more. So I think for me, that's definitely been one of the most impactful things. And that's why I love doing things like this back home with the next generation, because I think, like I said, people underestimate people from back home far too much. And why not show them that they're wrong? I mean, I'm trying to do it every day.
It's just incredible. And what a highlight. Anyone who's part of Queen's, been to Queen's, knows that that's a massive award. I know I did say I was going to let you go there, but we've got one more brilliant question from Emma McKenna that I'd really love to put to you just before the break. Emma has asked, where do you see yourself in 10 years? Very specific. You can go for 5 years if you want.
I mean, I would like to be sleeping. So I'm 30 now. I didn't expect to have written a book or anything, and it's actually published today in the US and Canada, which is exciting too. Wow. In 10 years' time, Emma, I would like to be focusing on my own business, doing the work that I do for companies at scale. So I also run my own business as well, but I do that on the side. And I'm starting a new job with a company next week. And I think in a number of years, I will just be doing my own business full time, because that will allow me to really spend time with lots of companies at once who really care about making workplaces that work for people like me and people not like me. And then I think, Emma, if in all being well, in 20 years or 25 years, I'd really like to retire early if I could get away with it, to be honest. But I'm excited for the next 10 years. I think they're going to be really, really good. I think that we can do lots of great stuff in 10 years. And I really hope in 10 years' time that some of you are doing this slot as well.
Incredible. Thank you so much, Emma, for the question. And Sheree, I want to say a massive thank you. That was really inspirational. And I love keeping up with you on Twitter and everything. So thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much for having me. I hope you have a great rest of the day.
Thank you, Sheree.